Played a little golf on Friday.
Where were you playing? You were at Old Warson on Friday, right?
That's right. Just playing 9.
You shot 5 under, but felt like you left a couple out there?
Sure did, yeah. But then I went to the Redbirds game on Friday night.
Oh, big Friday.
Huge.
Who'd you go with? Sweet Kai?
No, Private Citizen Pete. Shout out to PCP. Shout out to Dan with the great hairline and his father. Kind enough to take me to the ball game. Got to sit right behind the Cardinals bullpen. And you know who I got to see warm up?
Who?
My hero, John King.
Boy, you do like that guy.
I love him. And, it's just another day, another efficient 1-2-3 inning for John King. I think he gave up a walk in the next inning and got pulled promptly. But either way, got to see him warm up, got to see my guy there. Great view of the Cardinal game. Loss. Nice little 10-8 loss. And then they lost again Saturday. But it was a really good weekend. I really had a good time.
Did you go dining anywhere?
Did I go to Max Local Eats on Saturday?
Oh, Bill.
Choice.
That was on Saturday.
That's right.
So you're golfing at Old Warson on Friday, then go to the Cardinal game, have great seats, something I could never imagine.
Golf Saturday, too.
Where were you? Belle Reve on Saturday?
TPC Columbia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went to Max?
Max, yeah. No, it was great.
How many orders of fries did you get?
Me and my girlfriend split one order of rip fries.
Oh, rip fries, so good.
Outstanding. Almost don't need catsup, but still dip it in catsup. But it was great. It was a really great weekend. Unfortunately, a lot of rain going on right now in the St. Louis metropolitan area as we speak. But weather-wise this weekend, it was kind of cool. I mean, Saturday was a little rainy, but it was pretty cool and nice this weekend, so not much to complain about. Yesterday was muggy.
All right, there's Jackson's weekend. It's something most of us can't relate to, but I would imagine everybody's happy for him, getting a chance to play Old Warson, TPC Columbia, and dining at Max and sitting in the bullpen screen seats.
Yeah, basically, I saw Giovanni Gallegos down there, and I go, he's not long for this ball club.
No, sure enough.
Libertor hanging out down there. I've been championing him for a long.
You've been kind of rights holdering that Libertor thing.
I know.
Are you ready to abandon take? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to abandon take. Abandon take. Abandon take.
The problem is I have zero evidence to convince myself that Matthew Libertor will get right. And I've been clinging on to this lefties take a while.
This is not just sports media. This is media in general. You never apologize. You never say I was wrong. You double down and you move the goalpost. So that's what you do. Now read the handbook and execute the play. How?
I understand the handbook. I think there's a difference though, admitting you're wrong or and being high on someone because of X, Y, or Z reasons and then not going on. You can be wrong about something and not apologize for it. I don't think it was very malicious. That was I think Matthew Libertor could be a serviceable pitcher. But I've always said lefties take a little longer to develop. He's got such nasty stuff that it should work out if he can control it a little bit. Just hasn't happened yet, and it probably won't ever happen, certainly at a starting capacity, and it seems day by day that reliever capacity is also dwindling. So, yeah, you know what? I'll abandon take.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson Burkett has abandoned take. He's a flip-flopper! 314-399-9646.
Is then people clamor for you to abandon take.
You cannot win.
And then you're called a flip-flopper.
That's right. You can't win.
So should I just stick to my guns and move the goalpost?
Right.
I never said Libertor. I said
now he's back.
I said he can give you a couple good innings against lefties, only lefties. Though. That's what I've been saying forever. He's the only pitch against lefties.
John Heyman is not flip-flopping. He's got the Cardinals pushing for Eric Fetty. Yep. Nothing definitive, but some momentum there. That was tweeted out 36 minutes ago by John Heyman. You can catch him on the MLB Network. Eric Fetty, Jackson, excites me more than Nestor Cortez. Katie Wu, The Athletic, oftentimes a guest on BK and Ferrario, writing yesterday the possibility of a trade, whether it be with the Dodgers or with the Yankees. Nestor Cortez being talked about from the Yankees, according to Katie Wu of The Athletic. Meanwhile, John Heyman saying the Cardinals and Eric Fetty, and there was an MLBTradeRumors.com story having the White Sox asking for Jordan Walker, but the Cardinals not interested in Jordan Walker in exchange for Eric Fetty. I'm good on Eric Fetty. I'm not really excited about Nestor Cortez, and I am absolutely not excited about Jordan Walker. I need to add a qualifier. I don't know if I can.
No, I'll allow it.
Okay. If the Cardinals know something about Jordan Walker and why they're going, okay, this ship has sailed and we got to get value while we can, I know we'll never know that unless I have a conversation 15 years from now that Mr. Guy, but
Companion.
But otherwise, I'm not on board unloading.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So,
yeah, honestly, if they do move him, you obviously can't assume all these things, but I don't think it would be wrong to assume they clearly think something is wrong with Jordan Walker's development in some shape or form, because you're getting Eric Fetty you'd have until the end of 2025. There's no way his upside would be the same as Jordan Walker, what his potential could be. And I don't think you're also so locked into this team being the team that's going to bring the 12th championship to St. Louis to say, well, we have to get Eric Fetty no matter what. So if they do make that move, that would also, we talked about earlier on TMA, that they're not looking to add a lot of salary at this deadline.
John Denton with that story yesterday on MLB.com.
Fetty for Walker would be a pretty, not a massive increase in salary, but that would increase at $7 million or so, wherever much Fetty's making this year, and then next year. So
let me cut to the chase here.
I like when you do that.
Do you believe that between now and the trade deadline, the Cardinals will make an acquisition for a pitcher?
Yes.
I do too. Here is my reasoning. My reasoning is, even though the organization has been rather tone deaf for a while, actually, I think that there is now awareness of the level of frustration of the fan base. And they can say 37,300 people were in that ballpark yesterday. And just like my Tinder profile, I can say I'm 6'3". Mm-hmm. But Jackson, when it gets down to it, I think we both know there's a better chance I'm 6'3" than there were 37,300 people there.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we had the story from the Post-Dispatch the previous Friday on Cardinal television ratings being down 25%. You cannot act like there is an increase in either apathy or anger from this fan base. And therefore, I think they would be willing to overpay to make sure they got somebody, because the last thing they want to do is be a team that is a game out of a playoff spot, as asinine as it is, and 6 games back of the Brewers, and just go, well, this is what we got, especially when the rotation has been rough, in particular in the month of July. And perhaps the wear and tear on the bullpen is something that Ali Marmol has expressed. That is not a winning formula. So therefore, I would be really surprised if they did not go out and do something.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you there also, because outside of trading Jordan Walker, there's nothing that can really hamstring you out there in a trade. You get Eric Fetty, at most you have him, or at least you have him till 25. You get Nestor Cortez, you at least have him till he's got one more year of arbitration before free agency. So there's not. And
Fetty didn't have a good start on Saturday, but for the most part, he has been good.
Dynamite.
I realize he's not a brand name. Probably Nestor Cortez has a higher Q rating just because of who he's pitched for, but he has not been good.
Far from it.
So you give me a choice, I'm taking Eric Fetty.
Would agree.
I'm not going, oh, well, now they're set, World Series. But I can't handicap anything with baseball, I don't feel like anymore, as far as the World Series goes. The remainder of the season, you give me whatever they got, 50 games and change left. Yeah, I think that improves the team. And not putting it up there with the Dodgers-Phillies world, but it improves the team and their chances as far as getting into the playoffs. And then once you get into the playoffs, from my standpoint, until the data shows me otherwise, whatever, you got a shot. That's why I don't get when people say, well, this team is good, but they don't have a shot at winning the World Series. I'm like, anybody has a shot at winning the World Series.
Yeah.
This is a different time for the game. So you get in, you got a shot at the World Series. But it doesn't mean that you go, okay, the Cardinals are now a 95-win team. That's going to be mathematically incredibly difficult.
Freestyling a question here, Tim.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jackson Burkett freestyling a question on 101 ESPN's presentation of Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on July 29th, 2024 at 10:13. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. Jackson?
10 out of 10, full comprehensive reset there.
Well, I mean, I would say it's natural, but I worked on that this morning at 5.
In the mirror. Do you think you have to put percentage-wise, where they're prioritizing? Where do you think the Cardinals' mindset is right now at this very moment, July 29th, 2024, on prioritizing short-term and long-term? Where do you think, do you think they are thinking long-term at all? And how much do you think they're focused on the short-term?
I think it is their nature, which I actually think is healthy, which is why I think they've been, even though they have negative equity versus where they were a decade ago with the fan base. I think we would all agree with that, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, are you higher on the Cardinals in 2024 than you were in 2014?
No.
Okay, I mean, it'd be weird.
It'd be a lot.
If you were. I mean, because then you can go, 2004 to 2014, there were 2 quote-unquote bad years.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything was playoffs.
Yep.
I mean, holy crap. 04, 05, 06, I guess 07 and 08. I'm sorry. So 3 years. 09, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
This is a different deal for the last decade. The tone toward the fan base, I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know it is so much different that their mindset has always been long-term. And therefore, my belief for John Denton's report as to why the Cardinals would not be wanting to take on additional substantial payroll with a contract at the trade deadline, I think is directly related to the television situation. Could be wrong. So that is a big picture viewpoint, because it's not like Bailey's is not paying them right now.
Right.
But that bankruptcy hearing was delayed last week. But that is, there's no way in the world that is not factoring into their decisions. They just don't talk about it. So along those lines, I think they're cognizant of the need to inject for PR reasons, and also because they are in the mix.
Yeah.
And who knows? Right. But from the standpoint of them going, this team's a really good team, and they're just a starting pitcher away. I don't know if anybody in town believes that. I don't think guys on the team believe that. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, just numbers-wise, it'd be really hard to prove that they're one pitcher away.
Again, the thing that's so different now is it's just a get in. Yeah. And then also, and this is said from the standpoint of, if I'm them, I get it. Your last 2 world championships were from 2 of your lesser regular season teams relative to take your pick of some of your great regular season teams, and that's just through 2000, much less beforehand.
Yeah.
So the mindset is it's a tournament. Get into the tournament.
Yeah. I was just wondering, if the TV situation forced them to think more short term in terms of because things are so up in the air, we can't lose out on having a bad deadline and not getting that injection. Whereas take the television system out of it, if that's a constant, how does that affect their short-term planning?
I understand that question. I guess what I would say is this. If this were the old playoff format and the Cardinals had the record that they have, or to really drive it home, the record the Nationals have, I think something that would bring them closer to a great season, not necessarily a world championship, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but a great regular season. So take your pick of your favorite Cardinal regular season team. I would gather most people would say 2004, but maybe others would say 85. That's mine. They would then be able to trade Ryan Helsley and not experience brushback. You have seen the price point for trading bullpen arms over the last few days in this trade deadline atmosphere. They'd be sitting on a gold mine. And they are sitting on a gold mine. But if they were to do that right now, a game out of the playoffs, 6 games back, and no team in between them and the Brewers, they would be lit up.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see what the reaction would be like.
I mean,
I know it'd be bad, overarching bad, but I'm curious. That'd be a fun social experiment in a way.
So if this were the 1980s and you're 6 games back and there are a bunch of teams in between you and playoff spots, that's a different conversation. But in this deal, all hell breaks loose around here. And again, we can oftentimes point to the Brewers and the Josh Hader trail that played a role, I think, in the Cardinals winning the division in 2022 since Milwaukee fell off. Your thoughts on the topic? 314-399-9646. We have Jackson Bennett Burkett's Little Piddles weekend wrap-up coming up here on Balloon Party. This is 101 ESPN. Welcome back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. Jackson, you've got the Little Piddles weekend wrap-up?
I do. It's the weekend in review.
Oh, wow. So that changes things.
Well, not really. Matter of fact, the titles actually never really changed anything. They're almost the exact same, but they're branded differently.
Whoa.
It's like a Kit Kat.
I feel like this is Vince McMahon acknowledging that it's sports entertainment.
It's like a Kit Kat. You know, it's a dark chocolate Kit Kat, peanut butter Kit Kat, all kind of the same thing. It's all Kit Kat.
Okay.
And I love Kit Kats.
Okay.
I just want that out there.
Your thoughts, 314-399-9646.
Let's keep on the trade.
Hey, the YouTube chat's not up. You're frozen up there. What's going on?
Not a lot working for me right now for being 100% candid.
Oh, boy.
Now it's working.
Well, I need to sit on some phone books or something. There's a lot of headroom there on that camera and me. It's a shame. This height thing, I'll tell you. A harsh mistress. That's what it is. It's a harsh mistress.
I can imagine.
You know, I don't know. I don't know if it's losing the genetic lottery. I don't know. I started to lift weights before my very brief time in puberty. And maybe that had I not lifted, I might have been 6'5" right now and probably be running for president. But instead, I'm answering Jackson's question that was called the weekend wrap-up, and now it's the weekend in review.
Yeah. Well, I think either way, you've achieved massive success.
Thank you. Thank you for the delicious take.
All right, I'll start off with a quicker one on the outset. Just in general, do you think the Cardinals' trade deadline mindset will be shifted by what goes on with divisional opponents as well as wild card contemporaries? Or do you think their moves?
What's going on over there?
Well, I would rather take the half second and clear my throat than
I understand,
speak.
but there's been a variety. I can play the audio back for you.
No, I know.
Assuming somebody can do it for me.
Right, there we go.
What did you just freeze again?
No, I thought we were talking about my mouth. I was just clearing so I didn't have to speak with marble mouth, and so I'd rather take the half second and do that.
But what is causing the problems over there?
Who knows?
God almighty.
Who knows? A summer cold? I don't know how it all works. I'm just fighting through it. I'm just a little champion. I'm going to start over because I don't like where this question has gone. Just in general, do you think the Cardinals trade deadline mindset will be shifted by what goes on with divisional opponents as well as wild card contemporaries? Or do you think their moves will be independent of any of that?
I think that the Cubs move yesterday increases the chance of the Cardinals doing something.
Ooh, so moving Morel.
Yes.
Is it Morel or Morel? Let's go with Morel.
It's Jim Edmonds' good friend.
Yes, he's going to trot his way down to St. Pete.
Yeah. So I actually do. I don't think they then go, oh, we got to do something.
Right.
But I do think that factors
or like
in.
The Mets.
Hey, let's take it back.
All right.
Let me take it back because the Mets are in the NL East. If the Cardinals were, and I realize, of course, they're not, nor have they ever been, in the American League East going into this season, I don't think you would have seen the offseason strategy they had.
Right.
So, you ratchet it up. Missouri opens up camp in 50 minutes for an upcoming season. If they were in the Big 12, would there be as much interest on this team as there is by being in the SEC?
No, also I don't know who's in the Big 12 anymore. So
that's correct. They come and they go.
Yeah.
So along those lines, I think the Cardinals go, okay, this is a division that's certainly winnable, and we can trot out who we've got here and add Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and just take our shot. So I think, again, if the trade deadline comes and goes and they do nothing, I'll be shocked. Not because I'm like, this organization is committed to doing the absolute last thing possible to win, the division and the world championship. I just think that there is an awareness now that there may not have been 6-7 years ago, and it may not have it didn't exist to the level that it does now, of fan, again, either apathy or irritation. And I think they know they cannot let this deadline go without improving either the rotation or with a right-handed bat. I'd be really surprised. I mean, holy crap, I'll just be locked in on 101, for all 24 hours following the deadline if that were to happen, because people will be raging. I know, talking to Matt Rocchio, as we were coming in from TMA, and then he was wrapping up the opening drive, he said that the rage of the fans on their show is how come they are not willing to spend money. And so all this would do, exponentially increase that perception from an already frustrated or angry fan base. I do not think they'll let that happen. But with that said, I have been predicting inaccurately what the Cardinals would do at offseason trade deadlines now for a while. So, if anything, take the opposite of my play.
Well, with John Heyman tweeting out that the Cardinals are making some momentum for Eric Fetty, and then you had John Den's report that they're probably not going to increase payroll substantially, that, if I'm putting two and two together, would lead me to believe that they're not trading Jordan Walker, because trading Jordan Walker for Fetty would be a payroll increase if you were to trade Edmund, Herrera, and Carlson or something. That would be about an even deal where you wouldn't take a huge payroll increase. So if I'm reading the tea leaves at all, Tim, I like to read tea leaves, I would think that it's a package deal featuring Tommy Edman as the anchor on the Fetty deal.
John Heyman, his tweet for the record about an hour ago, Cardinals are pushing for Eric Fetty. Nothing definitive, but some momentum there. That's John Heyman via Twitter. And he is on the MLB Network, and he's the baseball writer for the New York Post. Your thoughts, 314-399-9646. And then you go have a conversation with the fine people in the YouTube chat. Jackson, do you have another question?
Yeah, I got kind of this is kind of a sports radio question for you.
Oh, wow.
Kind of a fun one. I asked this question to the Fastlane guys off the air, and I'm sure I've asked you before, but since this could be a big news week, at what time do you prefer the news to break? As a morning drive / midday host, do you prefer news to break in the AM during the show, early afternoon right after the show, or in the evening? What's the best and what's the worst in your mind?
I can recall, I think it was a Friday afternoon that the Cardinals re-signed Matt Carpenter.
Yep.
And I remember God, what a shame.
Yeah, right.
It would have been nice if that would have happened the night before, because we could have been talking about that. I mean, I suppose in an ideal world, it also is all, ridiculously unrealistic that you have something happen at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, right.
Or 6 in the morning.
Reported.
Or 7 in the morning.
Scheffler at the PJ Championship.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the rare times where we have breaking news on TMA. It's, or morning drive in general.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, the real answer, what do you think my real answer is?
The night before.
The real answer is I don't really care.
Oh.
I mean, that's the honest answer. Not because we're going to talk about it.
Right.
Whatever engages us. I mean, I guess I'll light the fire. I had no idea about this Olympics Last Supper controversy that I would gather a good portion of this audience is really engaged in.
Uh-huh.
You were aware of it. I'm just not on social media like I gather you are. I don't know. Not that you're on there tweeting out takes, but that you just are aware of it. Mm-hmm. It's just not where I am at this point in my life to because it's just something that's done, I think, to stir the pot. Things that are done to stir the pot that aren't necessarily news, but then, I mean, if I were to get involved in that right now, which I'd be happy to do, I'm just saying it's a story for the purpose of having a story to talk about. It's
right.
like the tabloids, what's the latest on the Kardashians? Let's get you upset about something.
People like to argue.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
And so if I'm engaged in a topic, it doesn't really matter if it's 23 hours old or an hour old.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
But then there is something like the Carpenter deal that you were just talking about where if I'm being the way I look at it is the worst possible way because it's Friday afternoon. So now
Friday is different than the next morning though. You see? You see where I'm coming from?
Totally, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about time,
right?
Time, it kind of doesn't matter.
Time.
Day, Friday afternoon.
Right, now I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because to talk about the Carpenter thing on Monday.
Right. Has a lot
and
of
the Carpenter thing isn't anything against Matt Carpenter.
No.
Couldn't be a more pleasant guy to interact with in my experiences with him. It was more about here is another, and the Marmol thing, the Marmol extension, I think, was a Friday afternoon too, I think.
Yes, I remember driving home and seeing that.
So, and that's not Ollie Marmol, because I wasn't man, he's the reason for 2022, but I also wasn't he's the reason for 2023, and I think deep down he kind of knows he wasn't the reason for either one either.
Yeah.
But I know that the fan base has serious opinions on him, and it's just another log on the fire of being tone deaf. That's what engages me on that. Not this guy is responsible for the Cardinals being in last place. That's not it. It's just my goodness, you're coming off a last place finish, and a few weeks out before the season, you're going to give a guy a contract extension. Did you not see what that does if you are in this fan base, and you just have to be aware of, and if it is the case, then fine, then come out on the aggressive and go, hey, I get it. You're going, how in the world are we giving this guy a contract extension when his deal's up at the end of the year and coming off a last place finish? And if I were in your shoes, I would ask the exact same question. But here is the reason why. If you're going to blame 2023 on anybody, blame it on me. I'm in charge of the baseball side of this business, and I didn't do my job. But it's my belief, and it's the belief of the people in the organization, that this guy is the leader for our franchise. And therefore, as a vote of confidence, not just for him verbally, but contractually, we believe this is the guy that's going to lead us forward, and therefore we're going to put our money where our mouths are, and we're going to give him a contract extension. If you want to get mad about 2023, blame it on me. We believe we've tended to it with Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and Sonny Gray. Fine. But this is the reason why we're doing it. That's a whole lot different than the way that I thought that it was handled. And it was, I think, about, we don't want to have the distraction of Ollie getting called out for the team starting off slow since they played tough teams in April. That, to me, is, again, that's tone deaf. And I think that's why this organization, which overall has been ridiculously successful, is getting the kind of hell that they're catching from the fan base. 10:33 in St. Louis. Your thoughts on any topic on the Cardinals trade deadline? Welcome. That's the focus of today's balloon party here on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals they win yesterday. Oh, man. Good start, Jackson. The Cardinals win walk-off fashion. Paul Goldschmidt, how do you do? Final score 4-3. They did lose, however, Saturday and Friday's affair. 14-3 on Saturday, 10-8 on Friday. The Cardinals will play tonight against the Rangers. First pitch at 6:45 p.m. That was another SportsCenter update, and the great one at that, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Well, we got to talk about the SportsCenter update.
Slight Freudian slip on that one.
Why is that Freudian slip? You want the team to lose? You're anti-St. Louis? Why do you hate the Cardinals?
Well, I really felt like they lost yesterday.
Why is that? Would you have a -1.5 or something?
Nah, it's the weekend. The weekend that was. Didn't feel like it was a big winning weekend for the Cardinals. I'll say this, though.
Oh, hold on a second. All of a sudden.
No, this
is what we call a distraction take. I just said the Cardinals lost in my SportsCenter update, so I'm going to come over the top with an asinine take to clean it up and make you forget about it.
Well, there's not really.
That's what's going to go on.
Well, that's a bad assumption is what that is. That is a bad assumption. What this is an observation deck moment, something I observed.
I'm a big observation deck.
Nolan Arenado hit a pop fly on Friday night. A legitimate pop fly, and it went out of the ballpark. It was hit to the short. I've never seen a home run land where Nolan
Hawk
Arenado.
up?
Hawk, a little bit gusting, but not in a major way. I don't know how this ball left. They said 350. It was 340 at most. I mean, this ball was. I've never seen. It was like in that corner of left field where it juts in towards the pole, and I don't know how he snuck a home run in there. But 3 runs.
So you're not counting the home run.
I was just like
a Crawford boxes.
Yeah, it was like honestly in Houston that might have been on the train tracks, but it was when I saw it off the bat, me and my buddy, it was like can of corn, and it somehow carried out of the ballpark. I've never seen a home run that short in Busch Stadium.
Jackson has the worst SportsCenter updates. Does he even watch the games? Ledoux boy cares more about basketball than getting the update correct. That's from the Water Boy.
I'm going to answer these one at a time. Yes, everybody on the station does better SportsCenter updates than me. Yes, I watch the games. Yes, I care more about the NBA. So are we all? Everyone clear? Everyone happy?
Do you care more about the NBA than what?
You name it, really. Certainly,
Certainly
getting SportsCenter updates right. Yes. Never wrong in the NBA scores, I'll tell you that much. And but everybody on the station does better than I do at the SportsCenter update.
All right. Well, I think you can unify people with that last take. Tim, how come you don't answer the text questions?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I mean, I respect the audience, and I'm just grateful for the fact that people even take time out of their day, whether it be listening live or podcasting, to listen to my thoughts, opinions. And so I really appreciate the question. Just kind of pulling behind the curtain for you. There are a large number of questions that come in, and I don't get an opportunity. I wish I had the opportunity to answer every single one. One-on-one, preferably in like a phone conversation or maybe a FaceTime. But I don't see them all. But I did answer that one. Jackson, what is your next question for the weekend in review?
Yeah, how did you feel about that Cardinal loss yesterday? Where to go here? You mentioned earlier that
I saw your mom's boyfriend says in the YouTube chat, this is what happens when you shop the clearance aisle for producers. He's accusing 101 ESPN of finding you in the clearance aisle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's... Listen, there's nothing wrong with value, first of all. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Amen.
What's another cliche?
I think you've already conveyed it.
Sure, I might be last season's product, but that doesn't mean it doesn't look good on this season's body. That's what I'll say.
I really like that.
Thanks. Tigers open up camp in about half an hour, Tim.
They do. Fight Tiger.
A lot of expectations coming into this year. More expectations than I've ever witnessed in my lifetime.
That's what Gabe Yarman said in his column on Power Mizzou this morning.
Yeah,
the Colonel, who's going to be with us every week here on Balloon Party.
And I can't wait for
and
it.
On TMA.
So you have noticed around town that the excitement for Mizzou football is more so than you've seen in your lifetime. We talked about that. Gabe just talked about that. Do you think that that's going to come with massive expectations, also come with a lot of disappointment and a lot of blame if the season doesn't go a certain way. And then I have another question about the college football in general after that.
Oh, but you're going to separate it. Usually these are...
Well, yeah, but I feel like I want to hyper-focus.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, I think that the expectations are higher than I have seen in my lifetime. I love that. I can recall, I think 2022, I filled in on the fast lane, and it was me and Anthony Stalter and Marshy Marsh and the Playful Posse, and they were coming off that really bad loss against Auburn. And I just recall saying something along the lines of, in a way, even though it's a bad loss, it's not like Missouri had any championship aspirations in 2022. So if you did, that closed the door on it. Yeah. I don't think they were really there anyway, but... and I said, I want the expectations for the program to be higher because I think they can be. And so, well, Missouri can never be Alabama. I just disagree with it. I've disagreed with that throughout because Alabama was garbage before Nick Saban got there.
Yeah.
Anybody remember Mike Shula or Mike Dubose or Dennis Franchione? I mean, there were some rough eras in between Gene Stallings' national championship and Nick Saban's national championship. Point being, these things can be cyclical. The team that is a blue blood now can be yesterday's news pretty quickly. I'd point you to Clemson, South Carolina. It's been a little rough around there lately, and they were blue blood 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So with that all established, I wanted expectations to be high. Expectations also come with a double edge to it, and that is if you don't live up to the expectations, you could have high anxiety and or anger. But I would much rather have this than, if they win 7 games, that's a bowl, and considering the schedule, that wouldn't be too bad. This is outstanding. You see more Missouri merch on people around town right now, and you have more people talking about Missouri football than I have ever experienced in my 25 years working in the St. Louis market in television and radio. And I think that the biggest separation now from what it used to be is if you talked about Missouri, you either went to school there, you were going to school there, or your kids went to school there, or you went to the school there 30 years ago. Now, much like most of the SEC schools, probably with the exception of Vanderbilt, you have people who aren't Missouri grads, alums, or with kids there, talking about Missouri and looking forward to either going to a game or watching them play this year. And that is what it is like at virtually every SEC school. Your identity of cheering for a team or cheering against a team is, for the most part, there are exceptions, for the most part, based on where you grew up. If you grew up in Alabama, you are either a Roll Tide or War Eagle fan. It's just the way that it is. And even if you didn't go to Fayetteville, you're an Arkansas fan. Good chance that if you're from Louisiana, you're an LSU fan. You didn't have to go to school there.
Sure.
So what we're seeing here is a little bit of the culture of the SEC starting to make its way into Missouri. And I think that's a great thing, especially for a market that doesn't have an NFL team.
I'm trying to think of the team, because you just talked about, he could never be Alabama, this, that, or the other, or what people would say. I'm trying to think of the team in my lifetime that has changed their reputation the most, and I think the answer is Oregon. I think
that's a really nice play.
I think when I was a young kid...
But at the same time, they don't have a championship.
They don't have a championship, but I think when people are like, Oregon's the number 3 team in the country, they're not like... people aren't shocked by that, as if maybe in 2005, that would be like, oh my God, Oregon?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was earlier than that. I know they were a team that Missouri needed to lose in 2007, so I know it goes back there.
All right.
I think that was Dennis Dixon. I could be off the mark.
I can't think of one more.
Maybe I'm mixing up quarterbacks that they've had. They've had some great ones.
Yeah, and then the team that's gone the opposite way, where they have this massive reputation. Nebraska. I was thinking Notre Dame a little bit.
No, Notre Dame's been to the college football playoff like 5 times.
Have they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They never win.
Right, but
in the Final Four,
care.
but they're there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, then Nebraska's. That's a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's Nebraska all day.
Yeah, USC has kind of gone, because like when I was like
again, in your lifetime, I mean, they nearly were back-to-back national champions.
No doubt, but in the last 15 years.
But again, even last year, 2 years ago, they were in the mix for the college football playoff until, Nebraska has been irrelevant for 2 decades.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm with it.
All right. Well, I'm not trying to sell you something. I don't know who else. Nebraska for decades was, what I guess Alabama has been and have just absolutely dropped off and have shown really no signs of life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a different deal.
Yeah. No, I'm only saying it because you would have better context into like my earlier part of life where I don't remember like Nebraska being good. I truly don't remember a time where like I've ever been like, boy, Nebraska's coming down.
When I used to see Nebraska on the schedule as a Missouri fan, you're like, I wonder if they'll lose by less than 50.
Damn. Yeah, that's definitely.
But that also speaks to Missouri.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because that wasn't the way it was for everyone.
Yeah, because right now, like I mean, last year's a great example. It wasn't like, oh man, Georgia, we just hope we don't get blown out. It was like, let's go do the thing. So I feel like already there's a change of the guard in that situation.
10:47 in St. Louis, talking college football, talking Cardinals, and the trade deadline coming your way tomorrow. And Jackson says the Cardinals lost yesterday. I don't know. I'm looking into that. I saw something else. But you're standing by it?
Oh, I guess I'm abandoning that take as well.
It's a second take Jackson's abandoning here on Balloon Party 101 ESPN. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, online at carltoninsurance.net. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. He's my insurance agent, and he has been for 5 years, and I would love for him to be yours as well. Just type his name into Google, and you will see 378 five-star reviews for James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Why do people love James? Why do people enjoy working with him? Why are people switching to him? Well, James has gone out of his way to hire a staff to make sure that once you call that number, you are getting an answer immediately from somebody who works for James Carlton. You're not being sent out to customer service and on hold forever. You don't send an email to your insurance agent and not hear back for a week. That's not the way that it works. When you need an answer about something that you've insured, there's a very good chance that's incredibly important because you don't insure things that aren't important. So home, life, auto insurance, anything valuable enough to insure, that's what James does, and he does it better than anybody else. That's why I made the switch. That's why you should make the switch. 314-961-4800. Go online at carltoninsurance.net. Welcome back, Balloon Party, 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Jackson is in the midst of giving up on takes.
I didn't. You know, I've abandoned, I guess, 2 takes today. One just being objectively wrong. I was just wrong about the Cardinals score yesterday, even though I watched the game, at least parts of it. But, you can't win them all.
All right. And the Matthew Liberatore take is now...
Yeah. God,
what is the deal with my camera? Am I shrinking? Is it possible? If I shrink, I'll be invisible.
I don't know.
Here, I'll stand. Very rarely has that been a benefit.
Here, I'll drop. Yeah.
In my story.
So I dropped your camera down, so now you look 6'6".
Yeah, but I was sitting. Now I look like I'm 6'6".
Well, I know, but then I dropped the camera too, so now I look short.
What a treat for everybody on YouTube. All right, Jackson, what's the next question?
I'm trying this new thing out here, Tim, called News and Notes.
News and Notes, ladies and gentlemen, with Jackson Burkett.
Like, I don't think there's enough in each of these little topics to conjure up a real
these
discussion.
Are quick hitters. There's nothing wrong with quick hitters.
Quick hitters, but I don't even know if they will lead to discussion. It's just like the errors and omissions the PTI would do.
All right,
Shout out to Tony Kornheiser. Not Tony Kornheiser. Who am I thinking? Tony Reale.
Right.
Tony Reale. Joe Buck will be on the call for tonight's Cardinal game. Welcome home, Joe. So there's that.
Hold on a second. So there's not a question. This is just...
Like I said, news and notes. Well, I'm trying it out.
Okay.
According to this would get you going. According to friend of the show, Mike Florio, starting this season, NFL coaches are obligated to do more on-field in-game interviews. One in the first half and one in the second half, and that's for all teams, and it's available for all TV partners. So each team has to provide a head coach, one in the first half and one in the second half.
That's. I wasn't asked a question about Joe Buck, but I will look forward to that tonight, assuming that the weather cooperates.
For sure.
I'd hate to have him have another rain out like the one month and a half ago, and then, the interviews on the field with football coaches. So now we're going to add to it. Wow.
More.
Wow, I'm sure Belichick's like, not bad that the Falcons passed.
I was about to say, no one is more happy they're not coaching the NFL this year.
What is that? What is that?
They say they said they want to have more access to coaches. They want fans to feel a deeper connection to coaches. So, so when they give them the coach
so
speak,
intense.
The coach speak answers. Like, what do you think they're gonna? And it's those poor reporters have to get out there and they're put out there. It sucks. Yeah, so that's so Mike Florio did some digging.
Surprised by that one.
He did some digging on the NFL media deal for this year, and there was a lot of legal jargon, but he transcribed it too. Yep. There's going to be more of that. I thought you'd like. TNT, a.k.a. Warner Brothers, the parent company, and Amazon are currently in a succession-style PR battle as TNT tries to salvage some of the rights to essentially keep inside the NBA, and running was the equivalent of a smear campaign against Amazon, calling it anti-consumer for Amazon to have the NBA, which I always find very funny when the one giant media corporation calls the other one anti-consumer.
Spin, sugar.
And this is a fun fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson's quick hitters.
This is a fun fact. With the 33rd
News and notes.
The 33rd Summer Olympiad going on right now in Paris, France. Here's a fun fact about the gold medal for these Olympics. On the medal, in the middle, is a hexagon to pay homage to the six-sided shape of France. And that hexagon is made out of iron from the original Eiffel Tower structure. When they made renovations in the 20th century, they kept a lot of the iron and used it to make the gold medals even cooler.
Huh.
I think that's a cool little...
That's a nice little fun... you know what that is? That's a nice little fun fact.
And do you know that the medals, gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, was started 1904 Olympics.
Right here in St. Louis.
That's the reason why that was kind of like the first modern Olympics. And that's a
nice fun fact.
Yeah.
I got a little return.
Yeah, I think the News and Notes has a lot of legs.
Well, Ryan Crawford doesn't agree. Wow, this show sucked.
Well, that's your opinion, man. I thought the news, what did you feel about the News and Notes section? Like just independent of the rest of the program? Because if people are on board
Ryan,
with
what do you think about Jackson's new News and Notes?
This is just the tip of the iceberg of what I can do. I left others on the cutting room floor.
No, that's your mom's boyfriend talking it over about Nebraska football. Looks like there's a Nebraska football conversation going on in the YouTube chat.
Was Matt Rule their coach
He still
their coach?
Yeah, nice show prep, ass.
Carolina Panthers to Nebraska Cornhuskers pipeline. Not yielding the same results as you might have once thought.
The Panthers to the Nebraska pipeline would?
Well, the Panthers were, in the Super Bowl less than 10 years ago. Cami Nunu.
Yeah.
And Matt Rule, man. It's tough. What conference is Nebraska?
What a high point to end on.
Are they still
Jackson
Big 12?
breaking down the Panthers and the Huskers.
Or are they Big 10?
Where are we now?
Nebraska.
What are you? Did you just drop in here from Kelly Temp Services?
I remember I'm a clearance rack producer.
They're in the Big 10.
Okay.
Are you horse plowing me out here today with this?
I told you I started Stanford, and my first division game was at the Carrier Dome, and so I don't know what.
Now you're talking about your video game life.
It doesn't matter, but they're actually playing their first division game at Syracuse. That's a real thing that's going to happen. So I don't know what's up and what's down. UCLA has to go play at Rutgers. I don't know what's going on anymore. I think that's really going to hamper some of the excitement with how cool college football is going to be this year.
I do. Well, I mean, in some conferences,
sure,
the SEC,
that's fine. The Texas Oklahoma thing was a good addition,
right.
But USC playing Michigan, I don't think that's going to have the same juice, knowing that it's this convoluted conference game somehow. If they just play them independent, that'd be awesome.
I'll be at the Carrier Dome in
I'm
August
sure
or
you
September.
will. I'm sure you will.
Watch the Cardinal come through.
They also play their basketball games there. Yeah. How ridiculous is that?
Jackson's loaded
is
for
that
barriers.
Not the weirdest thing?
As he lands the plane, he's arrived on his Carrier Dome tape.
Is that not weird?
Everybody tuned in for at 10 o'clock. Man, I hope Jackson talks Carrier Dome. Well, you got it. You just got it at 10:58.
It's so
Time
weird.
check Clarkson Jewelers.
It's so weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson has apologized for his takes. And we'll see. We'll see if he can have a bounce back show tomorrow. I think you're gonna have a big show tomorrow. What did you just see?
Nothing in my life has ever made me more angry than this news or notes section. Oh well. Gotta shoot to score.
Hey man, pucks on net.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Tim doesn't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, great show. Now talking about this guy's video game. Come on, man.
But it's not I'm that's actually going to Stanford is going to play Syracuse, and that's going to be a thing that happens. Video game or not.
Didn't you play the game? Aren't you Stanford on there? Because you have to be elite institutions only that none of the rest of us could ever get into.
I'm trying to bring glory to Palo Alto.
And that's why we're talking about Stanford and Syracuse, because you're playing in a video game parallel universe.
I mean, I don't think it's as...
I don't think you can do a podcast with any interest on this topic, much less you bring it to the people of 101 ESPN in St. Louis.
Well, that's why I hit the buttons and they don't.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
All right.
I'm going to hit the buttons.
I'm getting out. For Jackson Bennett Burkett and his parallel universe, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. Munganess, St. Louis Acura.